The courthouse doors opened. My husband walked in smiling, confident, relaxed, certain he was about to win everything. The house, the money, his freedom. What he didn't know was this. He no longer owned anything. And I was the reason. My name is Claire Anderson. For 12 years, I was the perfect wife. I cooked his favorite meals, laughed at his jokes, defended him when others questioned him. I smiled even when my heart was breaking. And while I smiled, I watched everything. We lived in San Diego, California, in a modern apartment overlooking the ocean. It looked like a dream. But dreams rot quietly. My husband, Ethan Anderson, changed slowly. Late nights, locked phone, sudden gym obsession. And one name he stopped mentioning. Melissa, his ex. One night, while Ethan was showering, his phone lit up. I wasn't snooping. It was right there. A message preview. I can't wait till the divorce is done. Then we can be together again. From Melissa Carter. My hands went cold. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I took screenshots. And I waited. 2 weeks later, Ethan came home cheerful. Too cheerful. We should talk, he said gently. I nodded sweetly. I think we've grown apart, he continued. Maybe a trial separation? I smiled. If that's what you want, I said softly. Inside, I was already planning his downfall. Ethan believed I was weak. He believed love made me blind. He didn't know. The apartment was in my name too. The savings were joint accounts. And I worked in real estate law before marriage. I knew exactly how fast assets could disappear. For the next 3 months, I became even better. I packed his lunches, pressed his shirts, encouraged his new beginning. He thought guilt made me kinder. No, preparation did. While Ethan planned his future with Melissa, I met a buyer. Cash offer. Fast closing. No delays. I signed the papers quietly. The apartment sold in 14 days. Ethan never noticed. He trusted me completely. That night, Ethan kissed my forehead and said, "You'll be okay, Claire." I smiled and whispered back, "So will you." And transferred the first half of our money. The best part of my plan? My husband signed every paper himself. Ethan trusted routines. Every Friday morning, he went surfing. Every Friday afternoon, he skimmed emails without reading details. So I changed nothing. I only added small things. A new savings account. A temporary holding account. A tax adjustment. All legal. All explainable. All quiet. Each transfer was small enough not to trigger alerts. By the time Ethan noticed, there was nothing left to notice. One evening, Ethan sighed dramatically. "I hate dealing with finances," he said. "Can you handle everything for now?" I smiled warmly. "Of course," I said. He handed me full financial access. That was the moment I knew. He deserved what was coming. A week later, I finally met Melissa Carter. She showed up at a cafe near Ethan's office. Blonde. Confident. Wearing a smile that said she thought she'd already won. She didn't know who I was. "I'm meeting someone," she said casually. "I know," I replied. "So am I." Her smile faded when Ethan walked in. The look on his face? Pure panic. Ethan rushed over. "Claire, this isn't what it looks like." I laughed softly. "Oh, relax," I said. "I'm not here to fight." Melissa stared at me. "You're calm," she said. "I'm happy for you," I replied sweetly. Really? That lie tasted delicious. Ethan promised her everything. The apartment. The money. A clean divorce. I saw it in her eyes. She believed him. Just like I once did. 2 days later, I sold the car. Not just any car. His car. Registered under joint ownership. Legal. Fast. Cash. Ethan thought it was at the shop. He never asked. The night before the divorce hearing, Ethan slept peacefully. I sat beside him, watching. I checked my phone. Accounts, empty. Property, sold. Assets, transferred. All done. Tomorrow, he would arrive expecting victory. Instead, he would meet reality. As Ethan slept, his phone buzzed. A message from Melissa. Tomorrow we're finally free. I whispered into the dark. No. Tomorrow I am. Ethan arrived at the courthouse smiling. I arrived knowing he was already ruined. The San Diego County Courthouse buzzed with quiet tension. Lawyers in suits. Couples avoiding eye contact. Dreams ending in silence. Ethan walked beside me like a man in control. Relaxed. Confident. He squeezed my hand. Let's get this over with, he said kindly. I nodded. I agree, I said. Our lawyers sat down. Papers were placed on the table. The judge reviewed the file. And then, she frowned. Mr. Anderson, the judge said. There appears to be an issue with the asset declaration. Ethan blinked. What issue? He asked. The apartment listed here, the judge continued, was sold 2 weeks ago. Silence. Ethan turned to me. What? He whispered. I tilted my head slightly. Oh, I said softly. Didn't I mention that? Ethan's lawyer flipped through documents frantically. That's impossible, Ethan snapped. That's our home. Not anymore, I said calmly. Melissa, sitting behind him, stiffened. What do you mean sold? She hissed. I smiled at her. Exactly what it sounds like. The judge adjusted her glasses. And the joint accounts, she continued, appear to have a zero balance. Ethan stood up. That's a mistake, he shouted. The judge raised a hand. Sit down, she ordered. Ethan looked at me like a stranger. What did you do? He whispered. I met his eyes. Everything I was legally allowed to, I replied. Melissa's confidence collapsed. You said you had money, she whispered to Ethan. He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. There was nothing left to say. I slid a folder across the table. Do you recognize these? I asked. Ethan stared at his own signature. On every page. Account transfers. Power authorizations. Sale approvals. You told me these were temporary, he whispered. They were, I said. For me. I leaned forward slightly. You planned the divorce so you could start over, I said. So did I. Ethan's hands shook. Melissa stood up abruptly. This is insane, she snapped. You tricked him. I looked at her calmly. No, I said. I watched him. The judge cleared her throat. Well, she said. Given the current situation. Ethan finally realized he had arrived with nothing. Ethan didn't lose his temper. He lost his future. Ethan's voice cracked. This isn't fair, he said to the judge. She planned this. The judge looked unimpressed. Mr. Anderson, she replied. Planning within the law is not a crime. Melissa grabbed his arm. You said this wouldn't happen, she whispered harshly. Ethan yanked his arm away. I didn't know, he snapped. That was the first time I saw her doubt him. Mrs. Anderson, the judge said, turning to me. Were any assets hidden illegally? No, Your Honor, I replied calmly. Everything was disclosed. The judge nodded. And did Mr. Anderson grant you authorization? I slid another paper forward. Yes, I said. The judge reviewed it. Signed. Dated. Clear. Ethan slumped back in his chair. So what now? Melissa asked sharply. You expect him to walk away with nothing? The judge looked at her coldly. You are not a party to this case, she said. Melissa flushed red. Ethan didn't defend her. He couldn't. Given the circumstances, the judge said. This court recognizes the current division of assets as final. The gavel struck. Case closed. Ethan stared at the table. 12 years of marriage ended in silence. Outside the courtroom, Ethan finally spoke. You destroyed me, he said. I looked at him calmly. No, I replied. You destroyed us. I just accepted it. Melissa stormed out. You lied to me, she shouted at him. Ethan didn't chase her. Because now, he had nothing to offer. Ethan stepped closer. You never loved me, he said. I met his eyes. I loved you, I said. That's why I watched so carefully. That hurt him more than anger ever could. I walked down the courthouse steps alone. The sun felt warmer. My phone buzzed. A bank notification. Transfer complete. I smiled. As I reached my car, my lawyer called. Claire, she said. There's one more thing you should know. My smile faded. Freedom never comes without one final test. Claire, my lawyer said carefully. Ethan is filing an emergency motion. I stopped walking. For what? I asked. To freeze the remaining funds, she replied. He claims manipulation. I laughed softly. Too late. That afternoon, Ethan sent me a message. You think you won, but I'm not done. I didn't reply. Men like Ethan don't fight to win. They fight to hurt. That evening, someone knocked on my door. Melissa stood there. No confidence. No smile. I didn't know, she said quietly. I know, I replied. She swallowed. He has nothing, she whispered. And he blames you. I met her gaze. He should blame himself. The next morning, we were back in court. Ethan looked exhausted. Angry. Desperate. My wife manipulated me, he told the judge. She took advantage of my trust. The judge turned to me. Response? I stood. He trusted me, I said. And I trusted him until he planned to leave me. Silence filled the room. My lawyer submitted text messages, emails, financial records, proof of his affair. The judge read quietly, then looked up. This motion is denied, she said. Ethan closed his eyes. As court ended, Ethan spoke one last time. You won't be happy, he said bitterly. I smiled gently. I already am. Outside, Melissa walked away from him. Didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. Ethan stood alone. For the first time. He felt what I felt months ago. That night, I packed my bags. A new city. A new life. And one final letter to leave behind. Some endings are quiet. This one wasn't. I left the letter on the kitchen counter. Not dramatic. Not angry. Just honest. Ethan. I was your wife when you stopped being my husband. I didn't take your future. I took back mine. Claire. That was all. No explanations. No apologies. Weeks later, I heard through friends. Ethan lost his job. Moved into a small rental. Stopped answering calls. Melissa never returned. She wanted a man with stability. Not a man who blamed others for his choices. I moved to Seattle, Washington. Rainy. Quiet. Peaceful. I rented a small apartment. Nothing fancy. But it was mine. For the first time in years, I slept without fear. One evening, as I cooked dinner alone, it hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was free. And freedom felt better than revenge ever could. I learned that silence is power. That patience is strength. And that pretending can protect you until you're ready to stop. I didn't win because I took everything. I won because I walked away whole. Months later, I passed a courthouse. A couple argued on the steps. I smiled softly. Not because they were breaking, but because I had survived. Ethan lost a wife who loved him. I lost a husband who didn't. Only one of us truly lost. And it wasn't me. If this story moved you, like, for quiet strength. Comment if you believe patience is power. Subscribe for more real, emotional stories of resilience and justice. Because sometimes, the strongest revenge is a life well lived.